The Apostle Paul knows nothing about Jesus. Well, he certainly knew very little indeed of Christ's life, his work, and teachings. Hi, I'm Jezebel, former born-again and spirit-filled Christian, now deconstructed and deconverted. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I reflect on Bible scriptures and church practices. Have you ever thought about what the Apostle Paul knows about the Christ he proclaims? Well, it seems to be extremely little. You've probably read the 13 epistles attributed to Paul, Romans, Corinthians, Ephesians, etc. But what does Paul actually know about Jesus? Let's look at a few examples of his knowledge gaps. No mention of any miracles, such as walking on the water or feeding 5,000 people. No mention of healings. He never quotes any parables, the prodigal son or the parable of the sower, for example. The virgin birth is never noted. No mention of Mother Mary. Paul only states that he was born of a woman. Jesus' baptism by John the Baptist. Jesus raising Lazarus from the dead. I'd think that would be worth a mention. The Lord's Prayer, the Beatitudes, the Sermon on how to mount, the Sermon on the Mount. The 7 I ams stated in the Gospel of John. No mention of his betrayal by Judas. No mention of his trials before Pilate and Herod. That is most of the life of Christ. Paul does know he was crucified, buried, and rose in the third day, and he seems to have met some of the disciples and mentions the Last Supper. To me, that's shockingly little knowledge for the super-apostle. Of course, what's really important to understand that all the epistles were written before 70 AD, but the Gospels were only written after that date. So Paul could not have read any of the Gospels as they were still to be written. So was Paul ignorant of Christ's work and teachings? It certainly appears that way. And it's important to state that Paul influenced Christianity, its creeds and practices, etc., just as much as Jesus.